Assalamualaikum. My name is Divamana and today my topic is about Introduction to Environmental Science. In every deliberation, we must consider our impact on the next seven generations. Spirit law of the Rockies. Environmental science is the study of interaction of humans with the natural environment, climate, soil and landforms, water resources, other living organisms. During the agricultural revolution in the Fertile Crescent, human begins farming. In some areas, similar grain produces to modern agriculture 30 bushels acre. Americans heavily relied in irrigation the application of water to soil from other sources. Salt present in the irrigated water began building up in the soil, causing yields to decline to a half, then a fourth of original levels. Eventually, only salt-tolerant barley could be grown. Sumeria collapsed. Salinization of Sumeria is an example of the law of unintended consequences. The decision offers have expected effects resources depletion, causing natural withdrawals faster than they can replenish. The Industrial Revolution marked the transition to local power, electricity, and factory production. What unintended consequences and resources that depletion took place. Strategy of the Commons paper published by an economist in 1833 describing a major cause of resources depletion. Commons are resources that are shared and not owned. Pollution in the atmosphere and oceans, as well as climate change, are global examples of the strategy of the commons. The natural sources classifications are inexhaustible, renewable, non-renewable, and recyclable non-renewable. The Progressive Era. During the Progressive Era, the Anti-Quiz Act was passed allowing the federal government to protect cultural and natural resources. National land designations. National parks are to be kept unaltered from their original state. National forests allow commercial logging and recreational hunting and fishing. National wildlife refuges allow hunting and fishing without permit but no non-commercial activities. About 92% of public is in the 12 western states. City applied to the federal government to build dams and reservoirs in the Hetchy and Lake Eleanor valleys in Yosemite. National park law would have to be passed granting the exemption. Environmental ethics. Hetchy was the first public debate in environmental ethics. What moral relationships humans should have with the environment. Anthropocentrism and ecocentrism. Human-centered philosophy, human interests and well-being first advocated the build the dam, nature, centralized philosophy, preserving ecosystem comes first, advocated to leave the valley untouched. Modern environmentalization. The modern environmental movement, starting in the 1960s, ushered in a wave of public awareness and legislation. This movement was triggered by a series of environmental disasters in the previous decade. In 1946, nuclear bombs testing in Marshall Islands exposed native islanders and Navy soldiers to radioactive fallout. The material was carcinogenic, meaning it increased the risk of cancer. In 1948, air pollution was a zinc and steel plant caused a dense smoke that killed thousands of donor in Pennsylvania. Air pollution is the introduction to particles and gases into the atmosphere that are harmful for living organisms. Clean Water Act restricts pollution of surface wastes. Environmental Policy Act all federal projects must assess environmental impacts, safe drinking water, testing and treatment standards for tap water. Ursula funds the cleanup of hazardous waste sites. Antiquities Act, Clean Air Act, Endangered Species Act, Resources Conservation and Recovery Act. That the Environmental Protection Agency was established in 1970 to enforce federal environmental laws. Global environmentalism. Following the 1970 environmentalism begins to consider issues that affected the entire planet, biodiversity loss, food production, and many more. The, the demographic divide. Countries are classified across an economic spectrum, developing and developed. Gross domestic product per capita is the monetary value of the goods and services produced per person per year. Total rate is the number of children born to an average woman over her lifetime. Life expectancy is the number of years an average person will live. Consumption is the amount of materials, energy, and services used per person. Consumption is estimated with an ecological footprint, the amount of land needed to support a person country. Economics and environment, supply, demand, and demand predicts that the principle of a resource will end. Number two, a cost benefit analysis measures the expense of an action with the benefits of it will bring. Case study Bhopal. Environmental worldviews. Planetary management, stewardship, environmental wisdom. Human rule the earth, technology and ingenuity will prevent the loss of resources. Economic potential is unlimited. Human needs come first, but we must care for other species to prefer economic growth that does not harm the environment. Humans are no more important than the other species. Our survival depends on the sustaining the earth. And here my topic has been ended. Thank you so much. Allah Hafiz.